Former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson is speaking out, saying in an opinion piece today that government-sponsored enterprises Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac must be, quote, reformed and dramatically scaled back. So what is Paulson's prescription for the GSEs? And with Congress less than 100 days away from an election, can we expect action anytime soon? Joining us now to discuss all of this is Anthony Sanders, professor of real estate finance at George Mason University. Professor Sanders testified before House Committee yesterday on the subject. He's also a former head of mortgage-backed securities research for Deutsche Bank. Tony, great to have you with us. So let me get your feel for what you think the government's role should be, if anything at all, to continue to support home ownership by providing these guarantees that basically subsidize long-term mortgage interest rates.
Well, first of all, we have to start off with the basic premise that the government suffers from what we call the Medusa touch. Everything it touches turns to stone eventually. The Case-Shiller Index, when President Clinton started moving over the affordable housing goals to Freddie and Fannie, was 82.7 in January of 1998 and rose to 226.29% by June of 2006. That's a 2.74-fold increase in housing prices. How the heck is that affordable housing goals? So what the HUD comes along and does is says, we're going to have to give everyone low down payment loans so they can afford to live in expensive cities. This is what I call the affordable housing crisis cycle. Are we breaking it? No. There was nothing in FinReg to stop this. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae were mentioned only to the extent that they were reinforced as something that banks can invest in if they want to, be safe.
Right. So
but
we
again,
understand that GSE reform is essentially a moot point until the housing market becomes afloat, rebounds, if you will. Being optimistic, the glass is half full. Let's say it does. And Hank Paulson, the former Treasury Secretary, put out an op-ed and had some suggestions for what the government's role should be. And one of his ideas, let me run this past you and get your opinion on it, limit the availability of the subsidy to basically smaller mortgages and or lower income buyers or both. That was one idea. What do you think?
Well, that's a great idea. In fact, if we could pare back the subsidies from FHA and also break the affordable housing mission to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, those would go wonders. But here's the problem. Congress will always want to sneak back in affordable housing missions to Fannie and Freddie and always keep bumping it up. So even once we stabilize and level out, there's going to be a huge push to get them back into the game again. So what do we do to prevent that? Right.
How do you protect specifically the taxpayers if we have another crash?
Exactly. And first of all, you got to take the charter of Freddie and Fannie out of the hands of congressional members because they have an incentive to keep creating this crisis and crash over and over again. The other big issue that we have is that, and this is where I disagree with Secretary Paulson, he keeps talking about this guarantee we'll give out. Guarantees produce moral hazard risk and excessive risk taking. So if we keep having that, no matter who has it, if we keep having this guarantee in the system, we're going to end up with this crazy excessive risk-taking, and then taxpayers pay the losses.
But doesn't that take out the conflict of interest criticism of the way the system works now?
Not at all. I think, in fact, leaving a guarantee in there reinforces conflict of interest, because who's going to monitor this?
Is it interesting to you that the White House is saying that it is ready to take ideas on fixing Fannie and Freddie, yet we had the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission, doing all of these hearings and investigation, but nothing's really targeted what went wrong and really who's at fault for the Fannie and Freddie meltdown. So what is your opinion of where fingers should be pointed?
Well, I tried to get this point across in the testimony yesterday. I said, look, whether it's benevolent or malevolent, the federal government, through its affordable housing mission, really did everything it could, interest deductions on housing, low down payment mortgages. It did everything to inflate a huge bubble, and then burst, and a lot of people were suffering. But again, most of the people that were sitting in the room on the left-hand side of the aisle were all kept saying, no, it's Wall Street, it's Wall Street. And I went, hold your horses. The bubble was forming before Wall Street even thought of a subprime mortgage.
Okay.
That was the icing on the cake.
Tony
Let's look at government.
Sanders. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Thanks for your time and insights.